What's up, brothers? We are back at it, and in this video we are gonna go over some major changes about to happen in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Not too long ago we got to hear that the Nair strings will be changed, which impacts a lot of characters. So in this video we are gonna go over what one of the developers said, one confirmed change on top of this as well. We're gonna go over characters that will suffer the most from this change in terms of how good are these characters in the game. So we'll go over 5 characters in particular that I think will suffer quite a lot, and we're also at the very end gonna declare one winner, one character that will benefit a little bit more than the rest, in my opinion, when this change comes. So first off, here we have a message from one of the developers of Nickelodeon. Rest assured, the Nair strings as they exist now are not going to stick around. Now, this could mean a lot of things. You could, for example, have bigger knockback growth on moves. So basically what happens a lot of times is like when you see certain characters do their Nairs, it's basically like their opponent is flying so little, even if they have like 50-60% more. So one thing they could do is like adding, so like characters fly extra far on higher percentage. Of course, they already, fly a little bit further, but they could increase that a lot. For example, to make the Nair strings significantly weaker. You also technically, I imagine you could slow down moves if you do the same move repeatedly during a short amount of time. You could maybe slower the frame data. That could be one way of doing it. I'm not sure if I personally think that's a good idea, but that's one thing you could do. And then a tweet that very recently was made as well. As a preview, here is a broad change that I think most people will be happy to see. Global DI angle increased from 10 degrees to 16 degrees. So this would be a 60% increase on DI. Currently, when you DI in Nickelodeon All-Star, you don't really fly that much differently. DI is in the game, objectively speaking. But a lot of people think the DI is not strong enough. Now, whether this 60% increase is going to be enough, only time will tell, because, we haven't played the game with this increase yet, since it's not actually out, right? So it's hard to say exactly how good this change will be, but I think a lot of people, myself included, agree that it's a step in the right direction. Whether it's a big enough step, time will tell. We see Luffin here as well. Poggers, happy about it. But yeah, overall, I think it's a good one. I don't mind strong punishes. I love punish game in fighting games. But I do think a lot of characters can do it a little bit too consistently, a little bit too easily. I personally like it more when you can see very clear difference in punish game level based on like how good the players are. Like currently with say Michelangelo, I feel like even if I see a player that's okay at the game or a player that is legit crazy good at the game, their punish game looks exactly the same and I can expect them to land it practically every single time, right? So I think a high increase on DI hopefully will make it a lot harder, and we'll see more levels from different players in terms of how consistently they can get their punishes and how far they take their punishes. So I think that's very good. That's very good. Excited to test out this change. Also, as we said earlier, what characters do I think will suffer the most from this change? Probably. It's hard to say, again, since we haven't played it. But I have 5 characters in mind that I think will suffer a lot. The one that will suffer the most is Michelangelo. Not only would I say his string or combo is by far the strongest of the characters with super good Nairs. His Nair has super good range. One Nair often leads to grab, which leads to a lot of more Nairs, which leads to grabs, which leads to Nairs, and eventually you die, right? So not only does he have like the strongest punish on average with Nairs, But like another thing some people might not even be thinking about, like if another character like Aang, Oblina, SpongeBob, if one of these characters get a nair, sometimes if your opponent like DI away, even though the DI isn't super strong, you kind of have to like follow them, right? And if you're doing nairs across all of like FD, you may not be able to like finish your opponent off with down airs. But Michelangelo can very easily like turn around mid combo and get you towards the edge extra early. So that's like another massive advantage with his punish. So not only would I argue that it's the easiest one of all these brutal punishes, not only the easiest in terms of execution, but also the one with the most range and the one you can like get your opponent off stage extra quickly and efficiently. And then on top of all of that, I think of these characters, Michelangelo, without his nair, is probably by a fairly significant margin the worst character. So not only does he have the strongest punish with nairs, but he's probably the character with clearly the worst moveset overall if it's removed. So Michelangelo, I think, is gonna see a tremendous amount of players dropping him, unless they make up for it with like a lot of other buffs in other areas, which I personally hope would happen. It will be more fun, I think. Next character I think could suffer a lot is Oblina, sadly. I don't want Oblina to suffer too much, but again, I think the punishes should be harder. And Oblina, also amazing nair. I would argue it's a little bit harder to follow with Oblina than other characters if people know at least how to make it harder, since it's easily to get like a reverse nair sometimes if you don't, like even when you don't want it. But still, Oblina can still very consistently carry people with the nairs, so she will suffer a lot. Like, I don't know, I feel like if you're not gonna get your nair into downers, the character probably will struggle to kill quite a lot. One guess would be that a lot of people around the ledge are gonna try to like fish for grabs into downers, which also is a move I think will be nerfed a lot in the near future, if I were to guess. So I could see Oblina turning into a character where kills are gonna be way harder and with small range. So Oblina possibly could fall off quite a lot too. I hope in some capacity, if the nairs are hit super hard, that she gets something to like make up for it. I mean, it's my character, of course I'm a little bit biased. I want her to still be good, even though I agree that the nair combos are currently too strong. Next character I could see, honestly this one is hard to say. I think Aang and SpongeBob are both kind of like in the same boat. I mean, a little bit same with like Oblina. I probably would say Michelangelo is like clearly the one suffering the most. Oblina, Aang, SpongeBob are, I mean, you could probably like argue any order. They're probably gonna lose roughly as much. I probably would say SpongeBob the least of these three, because like his upper strings are still like really good from what I've seen, and his up strong is really quick and can often like true combo anyway. That's why I put SpongeBob the lowest of these four. Aang will still have a lot of range, so that's the main reason I think he will suffer slightly less than Oblina. But I'm open for any order between these three. And then the final character I decided to add was Leo. People probably don't see his nair loops the same as the other characters, but I mean, you can still carry people a lot with his nair into spikes. That's still a very crucial part of his punish game. But Leo overall, I think, just have such an amazing moveset in general. So even if the nairs are removed, he has super good range, multiple ways of spiking. It's gonna be hard for a lot of characters to get in against him. And also combine, like him and Michelangelo are the two biggest characters as well. So they suffer a lot from like people punishing them. And if punishes are weaker on average, I think bigger characters will benefit from that. But the biggest winner overall, I wouldn't even say is one of the super big characters like Reptar or Toastman. I would actually say the winner of this change, when it happens, is very likely going to be Lucy. Lucy is already a character that some people rank. I mean, I guess some people ranked her first recently. I think everyone agrees. Everyone or close to everyone agrees that Michelangelo is currently the best character, even getting banned at SmashCon. But besides Michelangelo, you have quite a few people that believe Lucy is next in line, second strongest character. So if a lot of the tough competition like Michelangelo, Aang, Ublina, SpongeBob, and Leo, if all these characters are nerfed significantly and Lucy is not, then that looks like a favorite to be #1 on tier lists. Unless she gets some nerfs as well. That clearly could happen. It's too early to say. I'm sure they will look into nerfs and buffs for different characters depending on what direction they take the game. But that's currently my thought process, that I think Lucy will be the character gaining the most from this. We already see quite a few Lucy players performing well in tournaments as it is. And this change will only make the character overall stronger compared to the rest of the cast. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Please let me know in the comments below which characters do you think will suffer the most from this change, and what character do you think will gain the most? Also, are you a fan of the Nair strings getting changed? I personally think most people are. I'm a fan of it, but please let me know. And thank you all for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and I will see you all in the next video.